Recording. All right. Welcome to the Bald and Beardiful. I'm Chris.
I'm Bryce.
I'm bald.
And I'm Beardiful. And welcome to episode 13, week of 15. Wow, we are getting dangerously close to the end of the football season. What are we going to do after this?
Soccer?
God, no.
um,
What was your score? 0? Mine too.
we'll find something. We'll figure something out. Honestly, we could probably do MMA at this point. Like with how often there are fights on like ESPN, we could probably do fights.
Maybe. I mean, are they week? They're not week to week though.
No, they're not week to week. So we can do other supplemental content, but as far as like if we want to keep some sort of sport related theme where we do like a recap / like bet episode, right? And
Yeah.
then we can do that weekly. We'll just cut it to like 30 minutes, and then we can do we can still do like not necessarily a chaser, but a quote unquote like chaser big news of the week supplemental on opposite weeks, on the weeks that don't have fights.
We'll get something going.
Yeah,
In,
something like that up.
in the meantime, we need to discuss the horrid of what this week was and all that happened to it and the injustice that happened this week. I don't understand what went down and the insanity of rewarding the wicked. And I've lost my train of thought here. So let's go into how we did.
The jealousy, it was pouring through from your side. But we can start with you, just because. I mean,
we have to. You can't start with you, then come back to mine. There's no reason for that.
I mean,
I
am the star of the show,
idiotic.
Though. No, I'm the star of the show. This whole show is really about me.
Yeah, I mean, you are the center of the laugh factor for sure. You and your repeating jokes and receding hairline. Oh, that's both of us. Hang on. Anyway,
jokes.
Huh?
At least I have jokes. That's all I'm saying.
You can't put an S at jokes if it's always the same thing.
It's multiple. It's the same multiple jokes, but I've got it. I mean, I need a better co-host. I need just in order to get better material.
Do you think the wife would do it? Exactly. Anyway, Baltimore.
We probably should get Petey on here. He can comment, even though he's not playing cover 5, but he can definitely comment. At least he has enough knowledge of football, and he's not really doing anything. So there's that.
Is he not? Isn't he still? I don't really want to put out his personal information.
No,
Never mind.
He's studying to be a pilot. He actually got his private pilot's license recently.
We should all fear flying at this point.
Yeah, basically.
It's one thing to give someone like that a driver's license and you have to fear the road, but you cannot be in the same state. If you give that guy a pilot's license, now you're like, oh, he could be flying anything now.
Not anything.
He's
classified to certain aircraft.
Yeah, he's far from commercial airlines. But let's get into this. We've procrastinated enough. Baltimore didn't perform like they have been, which is not that surprising, seeing how Buffalo's been doing pretty well this second in the division to the Patriots. So still going positive. Detroit, I thought they were going to play a little better against Minnesota. Luckily, Minnesota didn't completely overtake them and came back with a score of 0 for at least for me. Jets doing well, too well. For like honestly, they're at least 2 of the bottom 5 teams, Jets in Miami, easily. I mean, somewhere there with Bengals and at this point probably Oakland. Who knows? Miami, I picked them. They kept it close like I thought they would. They lost by a point, giving me a positive 4.5. Seattle lost their head to a division rival, and for the Rams, coming in 12-28, giving me a negative 18.5. Woo! Way to do it, Seattle. Freaking Giants, they did so well. You and I both picked this team, I know, and we talked about it earlier. Giants were 17-3 at the halftime, and then Philly, like we've said it before, like you don't know which Philly team is going to show up to the game. It could be the team that played the Giants, who when they got killed, or they'll be the team that actually wants to play. Apparently, they were both this night. Like the first half, they were like, what are we doing? Tripping over themselves, just absolutely missing coverage. And then the second half, they're like, all right, let's pull the Tom Brady in and win this.
Yeah, that was utterly disappointing. They kept me out of first place. That pick literally is the one that kept me out of first place. Had they kept the lead and won, I would have surpassed to first place on the week. Not necessarily. I mean, I'm number one in everyone's hearts, especially our listeners, and
The
the
things you
family.
tell yourself to go to sleep at night. It's ridiculous.
But number two on the week, definitely had a shot at number one. Definitely had the right side of the pick, regardless.
Indeed.
So I mean, from a Vegas standpoint, it's a winner. From a cover five standpoint, really didn't do much for me. Like it gave me extra points, but it didn't give me enough to move up into that first place slot. I had
But
second
to
place
be
locked
on
up.
was Denver this week, though.
Yeah, the game to pick was Denver. I can't say like my predictions were coming true as far as like Houston looking to the next week against Tennessee. I think Denver just really is actually in the hunt. I think that was more of what it is, right? Denver's
No,
in the hunt to
in
make the
these last
playoffs.
few weeks, that's what it is. Like you gotta look at those teams that are really looking to make the playoffs.
But that was definitely the pick of the week. I was on that pick. The wifey was on that pick too. Unfortunately, she did not have some of the other picks, but still had an excellent finish. The wife finishes ninth on the
Yeah,
week.
your household was top 10.
Yeah, overall. Talking Tennessee. Tennessee is just rolling right now, and one of those teams driving for the playoffs, right? Um, that pick on the road, solid win in Oakland.
Oakland hasn't been quite on their game though the last couple of weeks.
They've been off and on. They've definitely been off and on. The loss to the Jets really threw me. I was on Oakland in that game, and that burned me hard. Um, I Oakland's in a transition period. They're not really meant to be doing much of anything. They're rebuilding. I think they're really waiting um, for the Vegas stadium, right, to really like flourish. At least this is what I'm suspecting. I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt that they're just taking these last few seasons.
Week 12, Oakland, we were both on that game.
Yeah, but Tennessee, like, yeah, even in this matchup, I didn't necessarily figure this big of a margin, but definitely Tennessee all the way on that one. Like to see KC getting a little revenge in Foxborough, right?
Oh,
Uh,
yeah, that was a good game.
Coming in, would have liked a few more points out of them. That definitely was a Vegas bet for sure. Jumping on anybody who got on that line early at -3, even -3.5. Definitely benefited on that. Even straight up money line would have been good. Would have liked to see him score a little bit more. Patrick Mahomes hurt his hand though. Gotta check the status on that one. Moving forward, but nice solid win for KC, double digits nonetheless, right? on that. And ultimately though, the game of the week was Chargers, right? To pick for the win, 32 points. That's why first place beat me. Um, I had them covered otherwise, right? Um, in most other games where we were on similar picks, right? The
Right.
Chargers was the difference maker on that one.
Do you remember why they're? Do you remember who they played?
Jacksonville.
Yeah, Jackson. Like I feel like Jacksonville, Jets, and Oakland are like the three teams that if you picked against them, they give you some good points.
Yeah. I don't know what's happening in Jacksonville. They were doing okay, not necessarily great with Garner Minshew there early on. The mustache Minshew. Ooh, I think we have a new nickname, Mustache Minshew. Um, but then Foles comes back in the lineup. Definitely Foles. Like I would say, Foles is a better quarterback overall, but not really clicking with this team.
Well, yeah, right after that, Foles folded. Like he didn't do well.
No, so I don't know what's going to go on there. Foles may not have a starting job next season. There are going to be some teams that are going to be looking for quarterbacks, so he might get shopped around, right? Who knows with that? But yeah, Jacksonville just in all kinds of disarray at this point. But um, I think that covers it. I mean, second place, it's the best finish of the season, right? For the
The
Bald
two.
and Beardiful.
Indeed.
So you have 2 more weeks to try and beat my highest finish at this point.
Uh, Sounds fun. All right.
And you only have
Um,
one shot. You can only get first place. That's the only way you can beat my highest finish on the season.
well, let's hope you're. I don't know the PC word for it. It doesn't matter. Let's just hope karma comes around and I get it next week.
Karma. Okay. All right. Week 15. All right. We only have a few weeks left of the regular season here.
And I'm hoping with this one because literally like I said earlier or to you, you texted me saying, "Hey, you ready to do this?" So it was like, "Oh yeah," and ran into my computer and started sending you like the picture of my previous week and went, "I still need to make my picks." So within 10 minutes, I had gone through the teams, put no research in except for what I've already heard through the radio and previous injuries and what have you. So let's see if luck can come through for me.
I just thought of an idea, just totally impromptu. This is more for week. Ooh, actually, let's do it. Let's do combined week scores. So week 15 and week 16 uh scores, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like whoever scores the most points
Out of the next 2 weeks.
out of the next 2 weeks gets to make the other person's picks for week 17.
Trying to give them like the worst possible score of week 17.
Not no, like it just gets to make their picks, right? So like
Well, I mean,
basically
it's like the idea of it is like, okay, well, if you make their picks, when they like, what's to stop them from like being similar to hit their own? Like, unless you're trying to give them bad picks, why
or
wouldn't it
we
be the
can say
same?
that the loser is forced to take the exact opposite of whatever the winner picks. Just flip, just do like
Have the oh my god, I can only like imagine that happening, but with this previous week that happened,
oh,
going like positive 72 to negative 72 just because you picked an amazing game. Although like that is 1 out of 15 weeks this has happened. I mean, then again, you could put yourself at negative 20 or negative 34 and then give me positive 34.
that's what I'm saying. I think that works out. So yeah, so like top
Yeah,
score, like because week 17 ultimately, like I mean at this point we're almost done. Might as well make some fun out of it, right? So total points. Loser has to just take the opposite teams of the winner's picks.
I like it. Let's do it.
Okay. All right, let's get into this week's picks though before we get too far ahead of ourselves.
I liked your Denver pick there, but I'm gonna go through mine real quick. Jets versus Baltimore. I know Baltimore's killing it. I know Jets aren't. I like the number of the spread, especially since I heard Lamar might have hurt his quad, so he may not be able to. They may hold him from that game. So I'm hoping if they do that, that could be a close game. Or at least they'll keep it within range. Tampa Bay has been killing it. Detroit has not. Yeah, I think you kind of agree with me there.
Yeah.
Uh, you said it earlier. Tennessee is in the hunt to keep those to keep it up to keep up the hunt and hopefully get in the playoffs. Houston had a great game against the Patriots. They did not do so well last week. I would know. So I think Tennessee, especially at home, has a bit of advantage there. Uh, it's Miami. I mean, New York was in such a swing. Hopefully, they work out the kinks during the week and they can pull out a victory over Miami, especially at home. And then Seattle, I know they didn't do too well for me, but Carolina hasn't been doing. Their defense isn't quite there, and I think once Seattle's got some time to think about what they did, they they'll come along for a win.
All right. Um, this week really was looking at teams in the hunt, teams that have clinched, right? Teams with some key injuries, and that's really where I was at. Chicago's in the hunt. Um, Looked good against the Cowboys, but the Cowboys make a lot of teams look good, to be honest. Um, with that, Cowboys are a hot mess right now. Um, so looking at Green Bay doesn't often cover the spread in general. I know it's in Green Bay, um, but I think Chicago is going to make a game of it, try and surge. So I'm hoping that they can take their momentum from their win of the Cowboys and take that into their game with Green Bay, come out victorious uh, with that. We're both on Tampa. That's really like Tampa's not in the hunt, but it's Detroit, and Detroit's really not doing much of anything.
They're not in the hunt either.
No, so but I don't think that Detroit's offense will keep up with the shootout offense and tempo that Tampa Bay runs. Even without Mike Evans, Mike Evans is more than likely not going to be in the lineup this week. I don't think it ultimately hurts. I mean, it hurts them, but like I don't think it makes that much of a difference. Um, for Tampa Bay. I'm just hoping that Jameis Winston can keep the interceptions under control and really press that one. I would have liked. I mean, I liked this one pretty decently at -3.5. I would have been totally all over this at somewhere in the -2 range, right? We're both on Tennessee this week. Tennessee at home against Houston. This has big playoff implications, right? So Tennessee on their current run, Houston spiraling as far as I'm concerned, right?
Right.
I think Tennessee is just going to need to take it to them and really do that. This being as close, I don't really feel this should have been as close of the spread as it is at -3. -3 is basically just like the home favorite kind of standard. That's where it starts, and then gets adjusted depending upon opponent and current, um, you know, current record, etc. Right? So that seems pretty standard from there. I feel like this could have been like a -6-ish type spread, and you'd still see people all over Tennessee, right?
Right.
Uh, Jumping on Denver, this is really two things. A, KC is already clinched their division, so they're in the playoffs no matter what. Mahomes injured his hand. Not to say that his backup Moore isn't good. I just don't. Even though it is a divisional game, they don't need the win. As far as that goes, it has some implications, but overall, I don't think it's necessarily a win, and it's a pretty big spread. So I'm just taking the big spread. Denver driving for a playoff berth. I think KC might rest some of their people for down the stretch, especially since they've already clinched, right?
Right.
That's really what I'm banking on.
Yeah, I like it.
Same kind of goes for New Orleans. I know, like, New Orleans clinched, New Orleans going to the playoffs no matter what. They have to win out in order to take the number one seed in the NFC. But I also think it requires, it's not just that they have to win out. I think it is a requirement that the Niners lose a game. They have to lose one of their games. Like, New Orleans has to win out and the Niners have to lose a game. It's something like, it's some combination thereof in order for that to happen. I think that's a lot of effort for a very small margin of return, and like, so they could, you know what I'm saying? Like, they could put in a lot of effort and really push their starters to try and win out for the season to have a chance at the number one seed, but I don't think they ultimately need it, and I don't think and because it's not necessarily a guarantee, and their fate isn't necessarily in their own hands. I
So
just don't.
Niners play Falcons, Rams, and Seahawks. So I mean, didn't they lose to they lost to the Seahawks? That was their first loss.
They
So
did lose to the Seahawks.
it's not out of reach for them to do so. So who knows?
So who knows? But like, I think it's one of those, like, if they can get ahead early, great. If not, I don't think they're necessarily going to really push for the comeback at that particular juncture. I think they may just, not necessarily settle, but relegate to second seed, which isn't horrible, as far as that's concerned, right?
Right.
Definitely beatable teams in that range for them, and they still maintain home field. So if this was anything lower than 9, I would not have been on Indy. Indy is also still in the playoff hunt. They'll get Jacoby Brissett. Marlon Mack should be back this game too, right? I think so. I think Marlon Mack is going to be able to play, and then T.Y. Hilton. So they have all their weapons. They have all their offensive weapons. And I just think I think it all depends on, considering that the Niners play who this week?
Falcons.
Oh man, that could be a pretty big upset. If the Niners were to miraculously lose, this potentially could be a real bad pick for me. If they win, I think that favors my pick of Indy, really, in the end.
Well, one way to find out, that is to wait and see what happens.
Wait and see. All right. So that's going to do it for us.
Yep. No side bet this week. You and I picked the Thursday night game. You picked the Monday night game. So we're going to take a break from the side bets. So we're going to wrap it up. You want to take us out?
Sure.
Like
and subscribe. Smash that like button. Hit the notification bell. Find us on Facebook. Email us at theballandbeardiful@gmail.com. Tell us your hopes, your dreams, your darkest desires, if you will.
Christmas list.
Christmas list. Yes, Christmas list. On my Christmas list. Points.
It's too bad you were a bad kid this year.
I'm always naughty.
You get coal.
Happy holidays. Well, not quite the holidays. Coming up on the holidays. Be safe. Love each other. Love me. Don't worry about Bruce. He has his special time. I don't know. Anyway, until next week.
You said that like everyone knows your inside joke about calling me Bruce. Like no one knew who you were talking about. Anyway,
I knew you would explain it. It's just what you do, Captain Obvious.
No, you've known me for how long, and you just can't. It just sounds like you can't say my name right. That's all it sounds like. And what's even worse is that you're doing it because your wife and her girlfriend used to talk about me through text messaging. That's like the only reason that this is happening. Anyway, goodbye, guys.